Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Larry Ray, CEO and President of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
Thanks, Jim.
Larry, 2 news releases from the company this week. What's in them?
Well, the first release was regarding the initial results that we got back from Cametco on the testing of the Wendon Strategic Stockpile, and we were really happy with them. We had up to 88% recovery, and I just want to explain that to everybody. That is initial assays, and we expect that with some jigging on the sample size and grinding and everything else that we can increase that, and we'll have something hopefully next week on that. So moving on, we have, of course, our listing on the pink sheets on AMYZF, and now we're uplisting to the next level where we'll have a bid and ask on the stock, and we think that'll help tremendously in the attracting investors out of the U.S. So those are great things. But the big story this week is what's happening with the Robinhood traders and the Wall Street, and it's quite interesting. Firstly, I'd like to mention that people, at least the paid predators on the board for Amy, used to, bitch slap me every time I talked about the fact that we were getting shorted and predator trading. And now that's come to the forefront. Everybody's learning about predator trading. They're seeing this happening on Wall Street. And so that makes a big difference. Now, the one thing I talked about going back 8 years was the crash in 2008 on the New York Exchange. And that crash was generated by heavy-duty shorts on everything. I think Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and brokerage houses going from $50 to 50 cents. I mean, that's egregious. So eventually the SEC put a partial rule back in whereby you couldn't short a stock down more than 10% in a day. I don't see that rule as being very effective because we know that we are shorted down on the OTC market. We get shorts of up to 70% of the trades. If it's 4 million, then it's close to 3 million are shorts, and because they have to report those. But going back to the main board, which is our TSXV.V listing, there is no short rule. Nobody talked about it because they didn't, basically, they didn't even want the investors to know that they could get shorted into oblivion. I did. I was concerned for our shareholders, and I was also concerned for the market in general. And the market went down from 2011 when they first announced that they were going to be getting rid of the short rule in Canada, and went down from there I think it hit a low of 300 here recently, and it started out at 2,400. And if that wasn't a fall over the cliff, I don't know what is. So that piqued my interest, and that's when I, through a lot of investigation and a tip from one of the newsletter writers that the short rule was gone. And so I attended several meetings that were involved on why the exchange was going down. They called it regulation and strangulation by regulation and all that. And I tried to point out to them it wasn't that. It was the fact that the stocks were getting shorted, that there was no requirement. No short rule? Where's the requirement to borrow? No short rule? Where's the requirement to report the shorts that are out there? And I felt there was at that time a tremendous amount of shorts, and we did trap them. In 2016, when we got our first results from the work that we were doing on lithium-ion batteries, and our proof of concept came out, and the stock shot from 2 cents to 35 cents, and rapidly taken down to 15 to 20, and eventually settled in at 20 cents. But that was a new level for us. We raised the money we needed by our shareholder base and a few new people coming inside to buy the stock. They like the story, and the story is solid. So we did raise up to $10 million and progress the project to where it is today, and it's almost complete on the testing at the pilot plant with this new and that we're doing on the catalyst, or the cathode material for, particle size. That should be, when that's over with, we can turn our attention to the design and solid costs of what it's going to cost and what we have to get fabricated, blah, blah, blah. But the interesting thing is that nobody was interested in what I was talking about, the fact there was no short rule in Canada. And, I'm talking about other companies, investors, everybody glazed over when I talked about it, but it's significant. And now it's showing up with what's happening with the Robinhood traders and their fight with Wall Street. And that is certainly, there's one stock in particular that's out there. GME is, the actual stock is GameStop. And they've been shorted to 140% of their float. So how does that work when there's only a rule that you can only take a stock down 10% in a day? You tell me, how can you short stock that you can't borrow? And they certainly have that requirement in the U.S. where you have to borrow the stock. Well, 40% of that stock is just out of the air. And the Robinhood investors recognized this, and they moved into with one of their basic operations, Reddit, they moved into buying up the GameStop, and now they probably bought 140% of the float. So they can't even get delivery on that 40%. So this is huge. I mean, the predators took the whole market worldwide down in 2008, and now it looks like Wall Street's circling the wagons and to protect them from the traders, the Robinhood traders. A lot of these guys are trading, maybe $1,000, $500, and right up to $1 million. And they've recognized a weakness in the market, and so they're not a hedge fund, they're not a big fund, they're not a brokerage firm, they don't have deep pockets, so they get together and they buy up the stock. You've seen spikes in all over, the U.S., and certainly we've seen spikes on the Venture and Toronto Stock Exchange where they have gotten involved. Now, what I'm thinking is that we do know that we've got some Robinhoods coming into our shares, and I think that our short position is quite large. I mean, if you look at, if you want to take a good example, look at the OTC markets. Those shorts are coming from the TSX exchange, from traders and brokers and individuals that short sell the stock and try to even out their portfolio on the Venture exchange. And of course, there's no rules. I mean, we had articles written and published by papers like the Sun here in BC, which is one of the largest papers around, and talking about this short rule. We called it the Wild West at the time, and now it looks like they're restricting the Robinhoods from buying or selling, and this is affecting a lot of people, and there's a tremendous amount of people. We've gone through a period where people have lost tens of billions of dollars just on the Venture exchange. And, companies have disappeared forever. Companies that had deposits have new ownership because, basically the original company, couldn't pay its bills, disappeared, and now these assets are in other people's hands. What I'm saying, guys, is I'm just saying that I feel that finally people are recognizing what I started to talk about 8 years ago was exactly what was happening out there, that the big funds and supported by local banks we're shorting the hell out of the venture exchange, and certainly I know I'm a fundamentalist. I knew that there's something wrong, something was broken, and when I identified that the short row was gone, I can also identify that there's not a lot of short covering coming in on the stock from the Robinhooders are buying. So just more shorts, and so that's something that I'd like to look into, and I will be following. And but it's an exciting time for us. I mean, certainly I'm validated by what's happening in the market now. People are starting to recognize that these predators are really there just to take your money and put it in their pocket, break the company so they don't even have to buy it back, and that's kind of what's been happening. So now that it's exposed, it gives us a little better area to come back and fight from. So I would wish everybody a great weekend. I think it's going to be exciting on Monday, and like today, we hopped up to $1 and down to 90 and back up to 97, and market's not even closed yet. So have a great weekend, everybody.
Larry, for people new to American Manganese, what's the company all about?
American Manganese is a critical metal company that developed a process for treating very low grades of manganese for the critical metal, one of the most critical metals in the United States. They have no production of it, and they have to look at, like they did back in 1950, that they had to get some manganese stockpiled, and that manganese we're working on as we speak. It's a strategic stockpile at Wendon, but the interesting thing is that the manganese patents are the cornerstone of our recycling patents, and we've been very, very transparent about that. It goes back to my days of when you're doing a feasibility study or a PIA or a pre-feasibility, that you have to have people working on it that are experienced, big engineering firms that cost a lot of money, but are arm's length to the company. And all our results are arm's length to the company, and we're proud to post news releases on what Cameco's done. And we're moving that one right along, and that one is looking fantastic, in my opinion. And so these are areas that we feel will build the company in the future, and we're starting to get a price that's worthy of what our accomplishments were. I mean, stuck at 20 cents. Guess who was holding us down there? But now we seem to have broken out of that. Maybe the next level will be higher, and I can't mention numbers because I'm not an analyst. Anyway, I think it's going to show increase of interest, people buying the stock, and the ease of financing. So I would like to say that we're very happy with our progress.
Larry, where are you traded, and how can people get more information about the company?
We're traded on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol AMY. We're traded in the U.S. Under the symbol AMYZF, and which, by the way, we are uplisting that I mentioned earlier, to where we can get a bid and ask on the stocks, which will bring in more investors out of the U.S. And we're traded in Frankfurt under the symbol 2AM. So we have a website out there, AmericanManganeseInc.com, and we have contact information on that website, and all the due diligence you want to do. Don't do your due diligence on the billboards, because I've lost a lot of shareholders that held the stock to all that prat that they were putting on there, the bashing and everything else, and calling a young guy like me getting old. I mean, gee whiz, I'm only 76. You can also phone me at 778-574-4444, or you can email me at LaryReaugh@amymn.com.
Larry, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome.
I've been speaking with Larry Ray, CEO and President of American Manganese. I'm Jim Goddard. Our conversation took place on January 29th.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.